Welcome to Cheese in Depth. I'm Michael Landis, and today's webinar is sponsored by the Dairy Farmers of Wisconsin. With over 1,200 licensed cheesemakers and the only state that requires a license to make cheese. They are also the only place outside of Europe with a master cheesemakers program. Whereas today, I'm talking with Carr Valley Cheese Company, which has two master cheesemakers, Sid Cook and Bob Cohen. I'm joined by Elle Fearing and Lacy Duren, both national sales representatives with Carr Valley Cheese Company, and who I have conducted many cheese seminars with. So please welcome Elle and Lacy.
Hello. Hey. Hello. Okay, well, we're happy to be here. As we said, we have our plant in Linden, the Glacier Point facility in Linden, Wisconsin. It's a very small town. I don't know if there might be a gas station there. That's probably it.
Yeah,
it's pretty small. But like we said, this is our favorite plant. So there's, I think 3 or 4 cheesemakers there total most days, producing all of these really high quality blue cheeses. But they have a ton of expertise in this field, and we love every time we go down there. We always learn something new. We always they're very scientific, and they tell us that process as well, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. So some of our most popular varieties are the ones that you're going to be trying today. The Penta cream is probably the best seller out of all of them, our personal favorite as well. But we also, the Wildfire Blue would probably be the second most popular. We do, as I said, smoked blues, Gorgonzola, our Billy Blue, which is goat milk, and our Baba Blue, which is sheep milk. They all are coming in the foil wrapped, as you saw if you purchased them on our website. We also do blue cheese crumbles, which are great, which would be packaged at our Fenimore plant. So, and now we're going to get a little bit more into the blue cheeses specifically that you are going to be trying today. And we can kind of talk through them, I believe, while we're going to be trying them. But the first one we're going to kind of be working with is the Gorgonzola. I don't know what everyone is pairing with, but we chose to pair ours with some Milwaukee IPAs. So this is, one that pretty much any IPA is going to go really well with a blue cheese. So that's what we chose to pair. So hopefully, otherwise I know a lot of times port wine goes really well.
I like to do like a chocolate stout too.
Yeah. So a lot of different things. So hopefully you have something good by you. But yeah, so the Gorgonzola, all made with fresh cow's milk. This one is gonna have kind of a soft, salty flavor. You'll get some truffle mushroom notes in it, but overall it's very creamy. This one is typically aged for close to 5 months, but you'll notice that it's very sweet. We were actually doing a little bit of research. We invested in some cheese encyclopedias, and it was saying how, which I didn't realize this, that 90% of the Gorgonzola produced is the Dolce Gorgonzola, which is the kind of the sweeter, creamier style of Gorgonzola, where 10% is the picante, savory side of it. So ours is definitely more dolce, but we love this one, and we might as well cut off some too.
One of the things that when we talk about Gorgonzola, we have to talk about the mildness that we have here. The creaminess, as you were saying, that the Dolce is sweet, the picante is sharp, there's more of that. In your version, it's kind of like a little bit of both worlds, because it's not all cream, but it's also at the same point not dry and tangy like you would find in a picante. So this really has a nice niche where it fits in really well to just about anybody that's looking for a blue cheese that, in all honesty, is a little milder. This is not, a real big, bold, in-your-face type of blue. So when I was thinking about what I was going to pair with it, one of the first things that I think I default to, and I know it's an easy default, but I love honey with it, and I think that this Gorgonzola with the tanginess that you have is really just really done well. And I use the Savannah bee company. They have a really rich honey that I love. And then with that, you can really build up on that sweetness. And so what I do is use the Effie's rye cakes. They're homemade rye cakes. Are a little bit of sweetness to them, and then adding in with the blue. So you get all those nice flavors. And you guys went with an IPA, and I have the nice richness here in here. So I wanted to go with kind of like a golden ale, and so I sourced out the Big Wave from Kona Brewing in Hawaii, and this is their golden ale, and it's got a lot of light maltiness to it, and that maltiness actually acts like a little bit of a cracker, but there isn't any hops like in yours where that actually adds to it, but this is just a little creamier.
Okay.
Kona has a really good IPA that I like. That's really fruity. Highland, I think it's called. Maybe. Am I thinking about the wrong beer?
Plus, you guys are ahead of me, drinking wise.
Yeah.
I'll try to catch up.
Ahead of time.
We're Wisconsin girls. What can we say?
Yeah, it's a sunny day in Milwaukee. I mean,
beer and cheese.
Yeah.
I think that's a great choice. I have an IPA that I was going to start off with, but earlier or yesterday when I was working on the pairings, this cheese has got some saltiness, and that saltiness is really well balanced, but it's there. And I think a lot of people say about blues is that they are naturally salty, that's a characteristic of them. But you think about the saltiness that you get from peanuts and things like that with a beer, and that's kind of why I went with the golden, because you really get that feedback. You get some sweetness, and all of a sudden you get some tang. You sweet and tang, so it kind of goes back and forth. So yeah. I love this cheese, and I think it's really cool the way that you and Sid and them have the diversity of the styles of blue. Because I can't tell you how many times I've said this, is that I get students that are professionals in the industry, and they're like, I tried blue and I just don't like it. And it's like, that's like going into the produce department, taking a bite of a vegetable and saying, I don't like vegetables, because they're all so different. These four are radically different. They're blue, but they're going to be different. So that's my take on that. So.
Definitely. No, I totally agree, because even when we're traveling for food shows, we often, like we said, our favorite is the Penta cream, but we often are showing these blue cheeses, and people come by and they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, please, you gotta try this.
Just try a little.
We're not lying to you. It's really actually good. And I know, even like, well, I guess these are cheesemakers kids, but I know like some of the cheesemakers at Linden, their kids are eating blue cheese. And I mean, that says something if your kid is eating blue cheese. So it's such, rich, creamy, very mild. The Gorgonzola is very mild. Just great products for everybody, even if you're a little skeptical on the mold, but it's good.
I'm always impressed when I run into like a 10-year-old who's like into blue. I'm like, you can hang out with me.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do this.
We're going to do some cheese trays.
Yeah, this is great. So yeah, we love this one. I too like to pair, the blue cheeses with honey is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
But these specifically, all of these are going to crumble and melt really well. Like as we'll talk as we kind of move through them. I mean, there's so many different applications you can do with blue cheese that, like, I guess I personally, before getting into this business, I wouldn't have really thought of, like dessert applications and things like that. But even just on a board with, some honey, it's amazing. So yeah, I'm going to have that one too right now. I haven't had that one in a while.
So the next one we're going to go on to is the Glacier Blue is going to be the second one. So that one is the one that came in the silver foil. So that's just a traditional blue cheese made with fresh cow's milk, as all of our cheeses are made. So yeah, it's made in small batches as always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and I guess we could have mentioned this earlier a little bit more too. So all of our plants are all very handmade, traditional style of cheese making. All of them are in small open vats. And so there's a lot of love that goes into every piece of cheese that's made at Carr Valley, which is really cool.
Every single wheel is hand flipped.
Yeah, so it's a very delicate process making blue cheese, and seeing it, up front, you really know, and even tasting it, it gives you a lot of appreciation.
It's so funny because all the cheesemakers are like pretty short there too, and so like there's like a bottom shelf that they're standing on so they can reach the top shelf.
So it's a job for anybody really. But yeah, so our Glacier Blue is a very traditional blue cheese. This one is going to be aged for a minimum of 120 days, so it's going to be a little bit. It's aged less than the Gorgonzola. This one I think is very, again, pretty mild, but very, earthy and a little bit more crumbly than I think the Gorgonzola comes off as. But again, very, very much a blue cheese that anyone could enjoy. This one has also won quite a few awards, as you saw a little bit on the slideshow. So we have a gold at the World Cheese Awards, and then a couple of second place and third place medals as well for this one. But again, it's just a really, super subtle, this one's going to be a little bit more savory, again, pretty salty flavors with this one. So yeah, I do love this one a lot.
This is Blue is one of my favorite categories. As an international judge, a spring judge, I get to luckily pick my category, and blue is the category that I pick. And I think I've always been fascinated by the diversity of the blues, but also of the traditional flavors of just a blue cheese, because we talk about lumping all of these into blues, and we know that's not true, because they have different flavor characteristics and names through there. But this particular blue has just, Sid's got such a nice balance on this. This is so beautiful and creamy. The flavor of the bluing, which comes out as a really nice mushroom. And so when I was thinking about what I was going to do with this is I have some Rustic Bakery, their rosemary and olive oil. And rosemary and olive oil with this is just phenomenal. Just being able to bring up those flavors. But I wanted something that would really kind of kick it up a notch. And so I went with the Taste Elevated. I think we've done this before together. Booze Time Cherries. And, you get these wonderful cherries, which also works really well in an old fashioned. So you kind of have a little bit of a
speaking our language.
A little bit of spiciness. But this is such a nice richness. And that's one of the things, is that this doesn't go over so big that it overpowers. It actually has enough power to be able to stay with this and keep a balance of all the flavors together. And I just really love those together. For beer-wise, I went with Oskar Blues. They do a Goodnight, which is a Imperial red ale. So it's got a tremendous amount of maltiness. You can see how beautiful this red ale is here. And it brings out a lot of maltiness when they put them together. You get that sweet, sour tang out of there. And then when they come together, you lose the big tang, and the butter comes out, and you really get the maltiness here. So it's really a fun little pairing.
Yeah. Yeah, when you said mushroom, I was just thinking about when we were cutting these cheeses up before. I don't know if there's any Wisconsin people watching, but as soon as we cut into the Glacier Blue, we actually both were like, wow, it smells like morel mushrooms. So it was kind of a moment for us of, that's a very Wisconsin, seasonal popular mushroom in this area. So morel season is over now, but that gave us a brief moment of remembering that. So.
I wonder if we could stuff morels with this blue cheese.
Probably would taste really good. Yeah, probably pretty good. So yeah, it's kind of funny, but yeah, we love this one. I mean, just all over a great blue cheese. And, you know, our smoked Glacier Blue is also really, really nice.
That one got second place at the World Cheese Awards. Or not World Cheese, International Cheese Awards.
The smoked blue? Yeah. Yeah.
Or no, third. Second. Wildfire got third.
Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah. So we do love this one.
Yeah, so next we're going to move on to the Penta Cream, which, as we mentioned multiple times, is our favorite. We love to talk about it. It's so good.
Yeah.
So this one is blue cheese that we add 5 extra milk cans of vat. Oh my goodness. Thank you.
Milk cans of cream.
To the vat.
Yes.
Thank you.
Milk cans worth of cream.
And the beer's getting to me already.
Yeah.
So it's really buttery, super creamy and mild. I always call it the Gateway Blue. It's a really good snacking cheese, and it's a good one for people who aren't quite sure of blues yet. They can try this one and maybe put a little honey on it, and that'll ease them into it. I like to put it with dark chocolate, put it on toast with honey. Sid does that for breakfast a lot. He's a really slight man, so I don't know how he keeps it all off.
Yeah.
He's just a busybody, I guess, so that works off all the cheese.
Yeah.
But yeah, I used it on a pizza yesterday with peaches and burrata and prosciutto. It was super good. But yeah, I like to pair this one with chocolate and coffee stouts a lot.
Yeah, and actually this one I did a Discover Wisconsin special with a restaurant in Viroqua. And we were featuring the Penta Cream Blue, and he did a couple different dishes with it. I believe one was a pizza, but then he also did a lemon blackberry cheesecake with the Penta Cream in the cheesecake, and it was phenomenal. It was like, you know, the perfect amount. I mean, this one's already going to be so creamy. As soon as you try it, the cream will just kind of like hit you in the face a little bit. But, you know, there was just a nice balance of savory notes in, you know, in a very rich dessert anyways, and then the lemon, it was amazing. So this one, so many great uses for it. I love this one a lot.
I think it being in a gold foil is appropriate because that is just
yes,
A1 cheese.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, so I got Best U.S. Cheese at the International Cheese Awards in 2019, and then I got second place at the 2020 World Cheese Championship contest, and then second place at the 2019 U.S. Championship Cheese contest. So
yeah. So this is definitely, you know, nationally probably one of the most well-known blue cheeses in our line, I would say. Yeah, and definitely a long-time favorite to most people. So it's just so creamy and salty and nice.
Oh, you know how I had it recently? We sprinkled sugar on top of it and took a blow charge and did like the creme brulee thing to the top of it and crystallized it. It was so good. It was like a dessert.
You did that at home?
Well, Blake did it.
Okay. I was gonna say, I'm like, that is quite the production.
I wouldn't do it myself.
Yeah.
I made somebody else do it. I had the idea.
Yeah. So yeah, this one, we are just being, you know, super, you know, we're just still drinking our IPAs here, but we have used this one in several different pairings. I know I've paired it with port wine. It's actually great. I mean, as we said, with all the cream, it kind of does give off kind of a dessert vibe a little bit. So it's great with a dessert wine, iced wine. It's great with porters. Really a lot of different applications for this one. But personally, you know, I just enjoy having it alone or with some honey on top. Yeah, that's my favorite application for this one.
And deep down, if you like it enough, it'll go with anything.
It'll go with anything, yeah. So it's great melted on steaks or whatever, really. So.
Well, I was fortunate to be in England when you won the best cheese for the USA in England, and you got your trophy. I picked that up for you, and so I was not on that judging committee, and so that was one of the things where I'm glad it wasn't, so somebody didn't say the ambassador of North American cheeses was influencing it. But I have to say that you had some very serious competition during that, and you guys did extremely well with it. And I did a video recently on blues, the world's best blues, which I consider you to be there because we have, you know, David's Rogue River Blue, Bailey Hazen, you know, took some awards, and then you were Best USA internationally. So, you know, the top 3 blues in the world, you know, this comes in there. And I think that in your advertising, you say something about that it's got some extra cream in it.
Mhm.
And it should say substantially cream, because this is, you know, it's so creamy and rich. It's just crazy, you know, the amount of butter that's on here. And, you know, I think that if somebody was really saying that I just can't do blues, I think that anyone would be able to do this blue. It's just got so much of the cream. You know, that the cream is really number one. The butter falls in there. There's a nice mushroom, and then there's a little bit of saltiness to balance it out. So when I was, I've paired this up several times and for the show and that. So this was really easy. I didn't even have to do much for this. This is Volpi charcuteries. Then this is the prosciutto. You know, a nice sweet ham with this. You know, that's all you have to do is roll it up a little bit, and this is the most decadent treat in the world.
It sounds amazing. We weren't prepared. We're so used to eating the cheese just like as is. You know, this is part of my daily diet, but we should have gotten some of that. That looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It was funny that, you know, Andy yesterday was talking about his Pleasant Ridge Reserve, and he's like, yeah, I put it on, you know, eggs. I put it on this. I put it on that. And, you know, it's about $25 a pound. So that is that's the most expensive part. You know, it's a little bit of shaving of cheese on there. But like you guys do, you have access to a lot of cheeses where a lot of us don't. And so spending our money correctly, getting the right cheese is very important to us. So another thing is the pairing on this. And I seem to have noticed that I have a theme, because this is Highland Brewing's Gaelic Ale. And again, I had the golden ale, and then I had the red ale, and now I have the Gaelic ale, which you can see has got so much maltiness in it. This is just crazy. But the hops in this really are in there just enough to bring out a little bit more of the mushroomy flavor. In other words, these are more noble, where they have an earthiness to them. And so that the earthy mushroom is really hiding in the background of this cheese. And it's not like, you know, like on the other two, you really could taste the mushroom, where here it's hiding back there, and it's beautiful to be able to do that. But this brings that out, that earthiness out, and it matches up, and you get a little bit of biscuit, and then you add the prosciutto on there. And, you know, I think that this is just crazy decadent dinner. You know, I mean, as a matter of fact, when we're done, this is my dinner.
Honestly, it's probably mine too.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we do this. Yeah, I mean, all around, our blue cheeses are wonderful. And, you know, anytime, you know, I'm talking to anyone that really, you know, from out of state, friends or family, and they want some suggestions for cheese, you know, from Carr Valley specifically or other places, I'm like, you know, try their blue. Whatever it is, it's probably really good. And so, you know, especially ours, but even other, you know, there's so many wonderful blues.
I was pressuring my uncle Jug into trying the Penta cream. I was like, put some honey on it, because he was really afraid of the mold. He's like, oh, it's really good.
Yeah, and now he's just a big blue fan.
And now he's a blue guy.
Yeah, that's how you do it. So,
all right, moving on, we're going to go on to the Wildfire. So that's the one in the red foil. So this is Sid's twist on a traditional blue. So it's the same as our regular blue that came in the silver foil, but it has Italian pepperoncinis in it. So it's you taste the cheese first, and then you get the heat on the end, which is really nice. So then again, this is aged for about 4 months. So it's really great. And then we got, so it goes great on pizzas and burgers and steaks, obviously. Anything, you know, spicy blue is great. I like to put it with honey a lot because you get that sweet and spicy flavor. It goes well with roasted tomatoes, peppers, olives, salami, things like that. And it pairs really well with American Pale Ale.
We saw I know Chardonnay is another one. If you're a wine drinker, Chardonnay goes really well with this one too. No one's really doing a spicy blue. So that's why, again, it's just like one, step further on the scale of cheeses throughout the world and in the U.S. and then also just Wisconsin specifically. Sid just took that one step farther to make it really stand out. And we love this one. I mean, it's going to be really, pretty calm up front, but when it gets to the back of your mouth and when you start to swallow, you're just going to get a really slight hint of heat.
I always joke about how our Wisconsin cheese company, so our heat is never too over the top.
Yes, very mild heat. It's a Wisconsin heat, but it's really nice. And, this one has a beautiful color to it as well. I love this one because it has that, creamy white look, but then, you have the mold growing in it, and then you have the red and yellow from the pepper. And so it's just really kind of a really beautiful cheese. I love this one. Yeah.
I'm a fan.
So and this one was one of the cheeses that won the award at the International Cheese Award. This one was the third place cheese that won the blue cheese category for the U.S. So we were pretty stoked about that entire competition in general, being the first time we had entered it, but just that our blues did that well.
My first show was that week because I started last June now. It's been about a year now that I've been working for Carr Valley in this role, but I had my very first show alone and I was showing 2 blues and I was like, these are big deal.
These are big deal cheeses, but they're really good. So, lots of great. I know a lot of people love this one, just crumbled on a pizza with, actually this one with Mike's Hot Honey is, actually all of them with Mike's Hot Honey is really good. But the Wildfire, I know at shows, we often would pair that up with Mike's Hot Honey and it, just adds a little bit extra spiciness to it, but it was really, really good. So I personally, again, love this one. So. But this is the newest on our list of blues. This is the newest blue cheese that was added to our line probably like 6 years ago now. It's been on our list for quite a while, but it is the newest out of the blues that we have.
And we just started offering crumbles now.
So we do blue cheese crumbles too with this one. Yeah.
Well, there was a moment where I was really crowning the Penta Blue as being my favorite. And then I got a chance to try the Wildfire. The thing is that when you take your first bite from it, you don't really notice the heat. That little bugger sneaks right up on you, doesn't it? I mean, it all of a sudden it went from 0 to, 20, 40, 90, 1,000. And but it's not like a ghost pepper or anything like that. I had Pine River with some ghost peppers, and I think I still taste that. But what I wanted to do with this is because you have that beautiful heat to it, and you have the creaminess and the flavor. I would not say that you buy this because it's blue. You buy it because it's the Wildfire. And that's, you really, as much as I would like to say I can taste the bluing in here or the mushroom, I really can't. It's very far in the background. I think it adds some nice structure to it, especially when you start. But then the Wildfire comes in and really kind of brings that heat. So what I thought was that I wanted some fruit. I wanted some sweetness to really take this down. And I got Bonnie's Jams. And this is really just crazy good stuff. And this is black and blue. This is blackberries and blueberries. And they are so rich, sweet, and acidic. So you have that combination. You have that sweetness that's in the fruit, you have the acidicness that's in the fruit, and then you play it with the spiciness of the Wildfire.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Again, we weren't prepared. That was great. That sounds great. I know, like with a lot of our cheeses, like we do, pepper jack and a lot of different cheeses with other additives in it, like our cranberry chipotle cheddar and things like that. And Sid's biggest thing is just making sure that it's not going to, you know, first and foremost, the cheese is important. So, you know, we don't want any of these additives to be changing the flavor completely. You know, we don't want to do something that's so hot that like your palate's burned out and you can't taste the cheese, you know. So, you know, the peppers are just a nice add at the end, or like with our cranberry chipotle, you know, you get the sweetness, then you get a little smoky heat. So it's all very balanced, which we love.
And that's the art that, you know, Sid has, is being able to bring in a balance. Is again, there's a lot of cheeses out there that have some flavors to them, but it is unbalanced, where this has got a great balance to it. So my original thought is that I wanted to stay with a little bit of sweetness. You know, with these, you run a lot of sweeter wines. Well, I went with a cider. So Gypsy Circus cider out of Tennessee. I didn't want something that was going to be, you know, sugared or anything like that. I wanted real flavors, but this needs, you know, something to work with it. And so I picked up the Vaudevillian, and this is a tart cherry version. And the cherry in there, and again, like using the blackberries, blueberries in there with that, really interacts and helps bring out more of the buttery flavors, tones down a little bit of the heat, but brings the flavor of the peppers out, which is really nice. And I've never been a ghost pepper or a hot pepper fan on any of those things. And I think that there are limits to where you take a cheese and you exceed its, you know, enjoyment. And this is right in everybody's zone. Even if you're somebody that loves ghost peppers and eats them, you're still going to get enough heat that it makes it well worth the while. And it's a beautiful flavored cheese. I would have a little trouble right now trying to decide that one of these would be my favorite today. I think that all of them bring such a uniqueness. And I think that's important for people to know, that when you're working with these, building a cheese board. Now, I remember, what was that saying? Something old, something new, something blue, you know, and there, and you'd have all these different things. I think it would be really fun to have a cheese board with 3 or 4 blues to demonstrate the diversity and beauty of these cheeses as they are, instead of just having, you know, different cheeses on here. It gives you really a chance to try different flavor characteristics. This is a beautiful board, and I am going to have a magnificent dinner tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know. I'm pretty full right now.
Yeah.
I think I'll probably come back for seconds in a little bit. But yeah, they're wonderful, and we are big blue cheese fans over here. But there's so many fun things you can do with it. And I think a lot of people just really don't think about things besides like, oh, blue cheese crumbles on a steak. But there's so many other things you could be doing with the blue cheese that we really hope that today opened up some new ideas for people. Thanks for listening, and thanks for having us. Like we have said a million times before this, we love, you know, featuring so many of our cheeses, but the blues are so wonderful. So we're really happy that that's what you chose, and that we got to really talk a little bit more in depth about them today. So it's really, really great, and we're excited. So anyone that has questions, feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to answer anything, or if you have questions about our website, we can help you there too. So yeah.
All right. Well, thank you again, and I really appreciate it. And I love my little cheese board, and I'm going to go and enjoy this for the rest of the evening. So thank you so much. Be careful and take care of yourselves.
Yeah,
I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
definitely.
Right.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers. I want to take a moment and thank the dairy farmers of Wisconsin for their support. Without them, this would not be possible. So we really appreciate that they're supporting these programs. Take care enjoy great cheese, and wash your hands.